Good evening, and welcome back to another week of In the Spotlight with Tabitha Collins. Hi, I'm Tabitha Collins, and thank you for tuning in again this week. I am excited about my guest this evening. I have Mr. DC Brain Supreme Glenn with me from I should say, one half of the tag team, the other member being Mr. Steve Rowland Gibson. And thank you so much, sir, for joining us this evening.
Good to be here.
I don't know how everybody else feels out there in TV broadcast spy world or wherever we're at, but I am nothing but a '90s hip hop artist lover of music, and I think anyone who knows me personally knows that is definitely what I was supposed to be doing. I was really supposed to be Sherry Carter. I don't know if you know that, Mr. Glenn, but I was supposed to be Sherry Carter. But I
Hmm.
digress.
Yeah.
Anyway, going to college in the '90s, KRS One, EPMD, all of them.
Hmm.
MC Hammer, all of them, right?
Yeah.
I'm just excited to have you on. I'm a lover of music, as I said, and just take me back to 1993, or before that, take me back to your record deal, how it all came about, even before your big smash hit, "Whoop There It Is." Tell us, how did you get in the game? Because so many people have such a hard time breaking in, and we want to hear that.
It's really for us being that young in the 90's, in like late 80's, early 90's. We were at the beginning of hip hop.
Okay.
So basically was like these kids that are at the beginning of the internet or don't know anything else but the internet. We knew nothing else but hip hop. And for me, hip hop started with Planet Rock. It started as a high school kid, Pac Jam and all the New York stuff, right? Then it went to
African Bambaataa.
African Bambaataa and all those, plus Egyptian Lover and Dr. Dre back then when he was doing up tempo stuff. And I just fell in love with it, and I became a DJ. And Steve had a band; they let me in their band, and I got very, very good at all those things. And I went to school at Sac State University in California. And the time I was there, that exposed me to a whole nother level of hip hop because I was in the Bay Area. So I
Okay.
knew Too Short before Too Short was Too Short. I knew
Okay.
MC Hammer. I knew Mac Dre. I knew Johnny Z and Too Deep. I knew all those cats. And we just all kind of grew up together. And for me, I knew being to be a better DJ, I had a love of such music that I figured out a way to get music from each region. So I would order from New York. I would order records from 12-inch dance records in DC. I would order from Bobby G's in San Francisco. So I was getting records, all the new stuff every Friday. That's back when we had Tower Records too. Go to the record store, get
Yes,
all your vinyl.
absolutely.
And then, I would throw parties in our dining commons. I would move all those tables by myself. I put in work. And I would throw a party for everybody in the dorms, and they loved me so much for that because it gave them all a piece of home because a lot of people weren't from there. But I always play stuff from New York, play stuff from here, play stuff from there. And they were like, "Man, what you know about that?" And it's just like, I'm a DJ. Okay.
Right.
And I started writing lyrics because, me and Steve we were part of the band. We were, kids that grew up together, but two of us, the only two left standing was me and Steve, and we became tag team. And I started writing lyrics in class, and I got good at it. And then my boy Johnny Z had got a four track recorders, like garage band for kids today. And I'll never forget, I made my first 10 records, 10 songs, on this little contraption that had a cassette, and you had four tracks. Man, I was yelling and screaming and beating on pots and pans and all kind of stuff. And I ended up making 10 songs and sent them to Steve because he was in Denver. And he was like, "I got to get me a four track." And then we just start making music because we had to go to the studio to make music. And as young men, I don't got $50 an hour to be in the studio for 8 hours at a time, right? So we just got good at it, and we just developed a love for music. And we just knew I knew every song. I still have all those white labels, all those songs, all those records. dust. I thought I could pull them out. I was like, let me pull these out and put them on the turntable. They were all scratched up and crackling, and I was just like, oh, can't do nothing with this. But
Right.
it's a good nostalgia thing to go back and look at those records because back then it wasn't about a lot like this generation and people who came up after us kind of got it twisted where they think that everybody does it for marketing, does it for this, they sell out, they do it for that, they do it whatever reason that they think they do that they don't approve when basically we was just doing it for the love of hip hop. We was just making records. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like everybody thinks Whoop There It Is was this big Manhattan project, and we were, lab coats and making theorems and geometry, and it was nothing but a record. We just made a song, doing what we love to do, making songs. And in the back of your mind, you always want to be a rock star, but it was more about just the ability to make a song. I mean, it's hard to make a song. People don't
Yeah.
realize how hard it is. And we had good songs, but we didn't know the business side. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we went in the studio. I moved to Atlanta, and being in the South, when in Romans, you gotta act like the Romans, and that was Atlanta booty shake, bass
Yeah.
music. And I told Steve, I was like, we're never gonna get out of here unless we do an up tempo record. And our first attempt was Whoomp There It Is. And it was just a song, and we recorded it. And that night, I went to the club because I was working in Magic City, popped that cassette in, and to this day, that's the biggest response on any record I've ever had. And I've been DJing for 30 years.
Wow. Wow.
And it was off to the races. And it took, I kind of shelved it a little bit, but then it resurged again because I don't know, I knew what I had, but I didn't know what I had. I didn't know what to do about it. But one of the reps was in the club that night, Alan Cole. He was like, "Yo, you need to give me that. I'm going to New York. I gotta let them hear that." And now I'm getting offers from Columbia. Everybody's interested, but they don't know what to do with bass music, so they're playing with me. And I almost gave up. And this lady told me to call Al Bell. Lisa McCall told me to call Al Bell. And Al Bell used to own Stax Records back in the day, one of the original three soul record companies, Stax
Right.
Records, Philly
I knew what you
International,
meant. Yep.
and Motown. And he called me back in a couple weeks. I was like, dude, you got to sign us because I got a hit record. You can make some money. And he was like, okay. I was like, dude, you ain't even heard the record. He's like, I don't got to hear the record. I hear it in your spirit because I was serious. And you know, I gave my 2 weeks in Magic City, signed a messed up record contract, and in a month and a half, Tag Team was platinum. The rest is history.
Wow. That is awesome. And so many young people now, they do it, like you said, they do it for likes, they do it for,
Hmm.
the notoriety, they want to be down.
We did it for that too, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it was more based in we started it.
Yeah.
See, when you started it, you don't know what you're doing while you're doing it, right? So when you're in the middle of it and you're getting the records from KRS-One and you're getting the records from MC Shan and Roxanne Shante and the real Roxanne and all them old school Biz Marquis and all that stuff, right? All them old school records that was at the beginning. You don't know that that's it was saying hip hop wouldn't last 2 3 years,
Oh my God. Yes.
right?
Heck,
And it evolved.
it did.
And I knew it was going to be big my senior year when me and Johnny Z were on the roof, his apartment complex, and the radio came on and Tone Loc Wild Thing came on. And that record was huge in Cali. And I just knew that that was going to be my path. I knew that was going to be my path from there on forward. And I worked my butt off. And I've been working my butt off for 30 years. And this is where I'm at now. We're on 2 tours. We're doing parades. We're doing rodeos. We're doing the sheer magnitude of the variety of stuff we get to do because we made the choice to keep it clean, nostalgic. Because to be able to go into arenas and football stadiums and sing a song 4 or 5 times a year, not too many people can do that. And
And it's important. It is important to keep it clean because like I listen to my son's music, who's a teenager, and
mm-hmm,
the vulgarity in these songs today is just it just astonishes me because I really think now they're just really about the beat because it can't be about the lyrics. But back in 1993 when you guys you made it to number one on the Billboard Hot R&B charts, you made it to number two on the Billboard Hot 100,
Hmm.
and it went multi-platinum status. I mean, that has to give you a certain like high, right? So because of you, like you said earlier, like not knowing the business, and I hear so many artists. I've actually interviewed several different artists, and they have told me they all say the same thing. They all say, if you're young in the game and you don't know that business or you don't have the right people in your corner, that's how you can go from up here to like down here, like in a matter of seconds.
Hmm.
Like after that, like one hit, it's like you
Hmm.
everybody's like, but what happened to them? Where they go?
Hmm.
And they've all been like, the business is a beast. Did and before we go to commercial and all that, just answer for me really quick. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with them?
Yeah, it's brutal, but it's how bad you want it. Like our situation was bad, but it wasn't as bad as some people's situation. We got some money, but
Okay.
I take, I've always, me being a DJ in Atlanta in the 90s, I got to watch all those artists blow up before me. And everybody used to come to me in the club because I was the DJ at the hottest club in the city. And then everybody from out of town used to come and see me. So I knew everybody already. But I would watch people rise and I would watch people fall. And the ones that rose and treated people like crap when they fell, those same people they treated like crap reveled in their demise. And I knew I would never be that person because I saw what that looks like. Plus, I was raised well. My
Right.
father sat me down. He's like, "Whoomp, there it is. It's all good, but when when it fades, don't chase it. Don't
Right.
chase that stardom." And I was like, yeah, whatever, pop. But I listened, right? And we got into a legal battle, but I didn't care. It was like let me put it this way. I'm the type of person, every traumatic experience that happens to me is my opportunity to vow that it will never happen again. And as a grown man, I take full responsibility. I don't blame anybody. I just make sure it doesn't happen again. So when we got in this 20-year legal battle, I was like, well, you better become a paralegal so you can understand what's going on. I take all these opportunities to never let it happen again. And
Right.
that is what got me through it. And that is what opened the door to all the things that I am blessed with now. That hard work, that looking at the glass half full as opposed to half empty, the never giving up, always playing offense, and learning how to learn. You got to learn, you got to keep learning, right? Because things evolve. So if you stuck doing the same thing, think of how many artists you see still trying to put out records the same way they did 20 years ago.
Right. Right.
It's like
Impossible.
hard to watch,
Right.
right? But it's like you can't do that, right? You can do it, but you can't do it in a way and think everybody's going to like it because
Well,
they're not.
today they have auto tune, so they have a lot of capabilities to do things that we didn't have to do in the
Yeah,
80s
but
and
it
the
still
90s.
boils down to can you make a good song, right?
Absolutely.
And if you can make a good song and you know the fundamentals of a good song and you can make a good beat and you got substance to that song, it's not about whether you can make a hit record. It's about your storytelling
I
and how you
agree.
make the song and your craft and your mastery, right?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
is what gets you where you want to be. All the other stuff, but that stuff is whatever. And that's why I tell young cats, they come to me and say, DC, put me in the game. I was like, all right, I got a book for you. Read this book. And 99% of them never come back. But the ones that do, they're like, man, what was that all about? I don't understand. I was like, look, I'm gonna explain it to you. And after I explain it to you, I still kind of don't get. I was like, look, man, I fully now believe that you'll never get taken advantage of in the music industry because I gave you the back end first. I gave you when everything fades, as opposed to the money, the cars, the women, and all that stuff up front. That's the upfront stuff. That's gonna happen. But what do you have afterward? And if you have your rights afterward, you can have a mediocre record and live on that forever.
Well,
But people
that is
don't see that.
definite. That's definitely important, and I think that giving them the meat. before the fame is what they need, because
Mm-hmm.
the backstory is
No,
going
they're not
to
listening.
value them more than all that other stuff. Well, we are going to get ready and go to a commercial. I just want to remind our audience that we are continuing to educate, encourage, and empower our guests. Each and every broadcast, we bring you entrepreneurs, music industry, artists, DJs, producers. We've done it all here this year, and we want to continue to be able to do so. So please like and share our page. We are wytv7.org. We are a nonprofit, global, local station out of North Carolina, and we will be right back after these commercial messages.
You're invited to the Smart Strategies for a Slim Body Masterclass hosted by Integrative Healing Arts and Simply Fit. Throughout the demonstrated masterclass, you'll learn healthy habits that will slim you down, like making time for exercise and finding a quiet place for meditating. Throughout the master class, you'll learn about acupuncture and sleep, as well as balanced meals and responsible snacking. For more information about the May 21st Masterclass, just click the registration link that you see on the screen.
Welcome back to In the Spotlight with Tabitha Collins. I am Tabitha Collins, and we're continuing on this evening with our guests. I'm excited. DJ, producer, artist. You all know him, known as the Whoop There It Is, with his other half that's not here with us this evening at the tag team, Mr. Steve Roland Gibson. Mr. Glenn, thank you for coming back for a second half of the show on this evening. So let's fast forward a little bit. We covered the industry, the 90's, kind of how you got in, got your break, what you share with others about the business, knowing the business side, to be able to have longevity, some of the artists that you've worked with. So tell us, how did this come about? Like after all these years, maybe after like 30 years, how do we get the commercial with Geico? I'm sure you guys have been heavily sampled. I'm sure, everybody's, kind of tried to get in on that little Whoop There It Is for, their logo, their commercial, their signature, whatever that may be. Why now, and how Geico, and how did that come about? Because I think during the pandemic, you must have had the most popular commercial. There is no one, at least in my household, that was not doing the little kid and play, doing the dance. And we was like, oh, this commercial is everything. And and I wanted to have you on because I didn't, especially with the younger generation, I didn't know if they even realized who you were and that this was a 90s song. I don't know if they, because I think some people thought, oh, this is cute commercial.
No, they
I
knew.
really like this song.
A
This
lot of
is
people knew.
catchy. Okay, I just wanted to make sure people
Yeah,
knew.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And the reason why is because every year, Whoomp There It Is in something. And I realized I was going to have a hit, forever hit record when I'm sitting in the movie theater looking at Will Ferrell dance on the table to Whoomp There It Is and Elf. Now it's a Christmas movie. It's a hit Christmas movie. It's going to play forever.
Right.
Also, we did a record with Disney for the kids. So that went 10 years. And then there's Kids Bop, which is they redid Whoomp There It Is. And they give every elementary school in the country had it. So when the preschoolers, for nap time, they wear them out for nap time. And then the kindergartners, when they do good and act right, they let them dance to the video on Friday. So all this time, Whoomp There It Is has been infiltrating young minds since the 90's. And it kind of came to a culmination with the Geico commercial because you got a young person there looking at it jamming and the old person looking at it jamming. They're like, what you know about this? Like, what you know about this? Like, they don't even know how they each know about it. But that's kind of how it happened. And it goes back to, you asked how it happened, it goes back to hustle, hard work, turning one opportunity into 10, just getting better day by day. My whole goal in life is to be a better man than I was yesterday. And that's what I did. And because I know SEO, I'm a search engine optimization specialist, the ability to get on the front page of Google, the ability to do digital marketing, the ability to do any type of marketing. And I'm an actor. So because my presence on the internet is strategic, Geico found me because everybody's looking for likes. Everybody's looking for man, I gotta get my brand out there. I gotta get my presence out there. And I try to tell people there's a different way. There's always a different way to do things. And I tell people I don't need 100,000 people to like me. I just need 100 people to pay me.
Right.
And Geico calls me during the pandemic, and my agent's like, DC, you booked a Geico commercial. I'm like, don't play with me. I haven't even auditioned for a Geico commercial. She's like, no, DC, tag team. I was like, oh. And it just worked out perfect because I let my agent for acting make the deal.
Okay.
And it's the biggest, most lucrative deal we've ever made in our lives. And I was happy. Everybody's like, how'd you feel? I was like, it was time to go to work because I'm an actor and I prepared. Right? Everything is about preparation. Most people just would have walked in and be like, what are we doing? But I was like, oh no, I know how big an opportunity this is. So I got to go in prepared. And that preparation, those little nuances of my preparation of what makes that commercial great. From the spin and scoop to the sprinkles to the dance we were doing, all that stuff was, prepared. And then the other actors, they all in the same improv troupe and didn't even know they were auditioning for it, right? So the synergy was just incredible. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we were all professional. We had a ball, and it came out on Christmas night. Worldwide YouTube campaign, and my phone has not stopped ringing since.
It was the cutest commercial. It was the cutest commercial. And, again, we were in the midst of a pandemic. I think that we all needed that. And we knew the song and everybody was doing the dance. And then you can teach and then you can do the dance with your kids because the kids don't know the dance, but we knew the dance from Kid and Play. So it's like you're teaching it's like you're teaching a new generation the dance and the song. And, they think you're doing something new and then they're shocked you even know how to still do it. And it was just really fun. And I know your phone probably has not stopped ringing. And what I've also when I've interviewed other artists just over this past year, I never realized how many artists did not have the rights to their own music.
Hey, and that's the way it is. But you can't.
I was astonished.
Yeah, but that's how they get you, right? Like, I think we own 50% of our record, but because it's been in legal battles, because it's been court fees and all the stuff like that, that has to be paid back first before we can even start making money off the certain part of the rights. Like we get a residual check, but if you let that stop you, then it wasn't meant for you to have it, right? Because I hustle, and any opportunity that I get from Whoomp There It Is, it let me know that it's not up. Nobody's going to give you anything. It's up to you to make your money. So I know I got a forever hit record. So anything that happens, how can I turn this opportunity into 10? Right? That's how I always think. And I've turned the Scoop There It Is into 30 because I was already doing big things before then, but it's how you carry yourself. I'm quiet. I'm humble. I'm blessed to just be able to do this, right?
People thought Prince was crazy when back in the 90s, or I think it was the late 90s when Prince went to the Symbol and he was fighting for the rights to all his music. And, people were like, oh, Prince is just doing something for it. No, he was a serious businessman and he was fighting. He was like, I'm going to fight the record company and I'm going to win. And I'm not going to, carry the name Prince until I get what I want. And after I get what I want, then I'll go back to Prince. And people didn't realize that whole thing. But now that you sit back, and I've interviewed several artists and they talk about not, having to fight the industry for their records and the rights to their music so they can get paid from the ASCAP, from the BMIs, from the CSACs, so they can get paid for every time their song is on the radio, they get paid. But, if somebody, Anita Baker just went through that or whatever. So that is just insane.
And that's only if you wrote your record. That's only if you wrote your
that's
lyrics.
true too. If
you're not the writer, you don't get nothing. And because we wrote everything we've ever done, we get a check every quarter. You know what I'm saying? Always and forever. You know what I mean? And now, and you develop your show. We do 40 shows a year and a variety of shows. And then now I have to tell people no. And it worked out like when we came out of the pandemic, we hit the ground running and have not stopped.
How are you still DJing? Are you? Could I call
see.
you up and say, can you come do my
No, no,
party
no, no,
in
no. That
Charlotte?
don't happen. That don't
Okay,
happen.
that's what I'm
I
asking.
retired from DJ in
Okay,
2015 because I just,
okay.
I've been doing it since I was a kid, but those skills are still there, and I apply them to everything I do in life, right? So that 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 mastery is always with me, and that mastery is, since the beginning. There's only been one question in hip hop: Can you rock a party? Can you move a crowd? That's all
Yes.
I do. That's all I concentrate on. Everything else is irrelevant. You know what I mean? I learned my business side. I'm in the crypto. I'm doing NFT. I'm doing all these things because I don't want to miss anything ever again. I
Let
don't
me
want
tell
to
you,
dismiss something because it seems like witchcraft. Let me learn about it 100%. Then I can make my decision, right? But I don't
I
want to.
don't go to
Go
a
ahead.
party unless the DJ is right.
Exactly.
If the DJ is not right, or I don't know the DJ, I can't go.
And that's how our show is. Our show is
Yeah.
100% energy, 20 minutes of relentless energy. And people don't all people want to hear is Whoomp, but they're so shocked that they get such a good show because I'm a DJ first and foremost, always and forever.
Right.
So when I walk out on that stage, it's going down. We're gonna get the party started. Period. Period. I don't care what it takes for me to do. I had to go back and listen to thousands of records and go back because people want to come here to nostalgia. That's like me doing a set on Saturday night at the clubs in Atlanta in the 90's.
Right.
That's the bias. I'll never forget that. So if we have to do an hour show, I'll DJ for the first 40 minutes and get them real. They get a club party and a performance. So it's about being a great entertainer. It's about
So
understanding your place.
where can our audience and our viewers catch you? Could you give your website, your booking
Okay.
information, your numbers? Where can they go
This is
see
an
you rock the
SEO lesson.
party?
This is an SEO lesson. DC Glenn ATL for me, Tag Team Whoomp for Tag Team across every single social platform. And the website is tagteambackagain.com. And you want
And
to
that's
keep
how they
everything,
book you and everything?
yeah, you want to keep everything universal because you can't have people not knowing how to get in touch with you. You miss some money when you do that, right? So if you got somebody like trying to track you down and you got 14 different handles, they're not going to find you because they might give up after one or they might give up after three. You don't know what their intensity of trying to find you is. But it's all DC Glenn ATL or all Tag Team Whoomp, and you will find me.
And we are, again, like I said, we are here at WYTV7, or nonprofit local station out of Charlotte, but we go globally. We are educating, empowering, and always encouraging our viewers. So what are you trying to do in 2022? What can you leave us with that you're trying to do for all of us, or yourself, or tag team? What are you trying to do as far as encouraging, educating, and empowering
So
people?
I'm a little different, right?
Okay.
I don't, people tell me all the time, DC, you can't do everything because I'm hustling, period. And I'll be like, you know what, you're right. I can't do everything, but I sure enough can be prepared for everything. Man, that makes sense, DC. And I just shake my head because the very thing you just disapproved of, you approve of, said in a different way because preparation is doing everything. And all I do is if I get stuck on something, if I want to know something, I join an organization, society, or association because those people have been doing it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years and they can't wait to tell you the game. So if you want to be an auto mechanic, find an auto mechanics association, pay $125 and start calling everybody in that organization to teach you how to see if it's even for you, right? I tell that to high school students during graduation. Anywhere I speak, join an organization. That's how I found all the writers I have, joining the journalistic organization. Then I found all the writers I needed. I'm in about 15 organizations because they have the resources to get me what I want and make everything that comes to me custom to me. And I flourish. And people say they don't teach us that. Well, I'm telling it to you right now.
We have about 2 minutes left, and I want to quick get in. I want to take 1 minute to ask you, New projects, any new projects on the horizon in 1 minute? Okay.
Everything, like movies, television shows, tours, everything. I'm starting my motivational speaking career. I'm doing all kind of stuff, and it's just about being prepared for the seeds that you planted. And I planted a lot of seeds. 29 years ago, I planted a seed called Whoomp There It Is. Now it's a sequoia. It's not going anywhere. You
Well,
gotta keep planting seeds.
I appreciate you so much for being on the show tonight. I thank you for sharing those words of wisdom, giving us background on the industry, bringing us back to the 90s that I miss so very much, where I think that we had the best possible music ever in the 80s and the 90s. I argue with anyone that says differently, and I would like, and I admonish everybody to please like and share our show. When this airs, share and share and share on all your social media platforms. Let's get the word out. Let's share the information that he was so gracious to bring us on this evening. You can reach me at 980-907-3136. That's 980-907-3136. I am Tabitha, TABATHA, spotlight at gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Would love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Thank you so much, DC Glenn. Much love to Mr. Steve Rowland Gibson and the tag team. Thank you for entertaining us during the pandemic. We appreciate you, and we would love for you out there in global TV land, locally. Please donate, like, again, and share at WYTV7. We are solely run off of your kindness and your generosity. Thank you so much, and everyone have a wonderful evening. And please join me back here next week at 6 p.m. on a Thursday, every Thursday, Eastern Standard Time at In the Spotlight. Take care and have a blessed one.
Sprinkle!